Hello, all my sewing and knitting friends. Thank you for joining me today. I just wanted to say thank you to a few people. For one thing, Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room had sent me this mic and I've been trying it out, and I just want to say how well this has worked for me. Thank you, Jen, for sending this to me and helping me out because my other one broke, and she just reached out to me and said, hey, I've got some free samples here that were sent to me. If you could use one, I'll be happy to send it to you. So she did, and like I said, I just really appreciate that gift. Thank you so much. Now, another thing that I appreciate is all the people who shared with me the different projects you're working on. I've said so many times, I wish we had the capability of sharing just a tiny little picture of whatever you're working on when you're trying to describe things and to people. One of the comments this week came from a young man that is actually a YouTube, and I guess he instructs you on how to create videos from what I got, and I really appreciate him saying that he noticed my videos were actually improving and that I had a lot of potential out there. So I thought, well, that was really nice, you know, and I thanked him for watching and giving me such a positive comment there. Probably needed to hear that, so thank you so much. I told him I probably need to take a class is what I need to do, but and I could take classes for free now because I'm a senior citizen. Just a little perk. Okay, so I managed to grab a little window of time to go see a friend of mine in Florida. She moved there a year ago, and her husband, and I've been just wanting to go, and it seemed like every time my husband and I tried to plan this trip, something would happen and we couldn't go. Well, we saw this little window of time in the month of May, and we grabbed it and we went. Now, when we travel, we take our camper and we stay at a campground, and so we got all the arrangements made. Everything fell right into place. It was just the perfect time to go, and I thought, well, I need to make sure I've got something to take with me on the road to work on. Now, generally my knitting projects are always small, but I'm sure anything small, if it was a stitchery kit, a cross-stitch kit, even small quilting blocks could be taken. Anything small travels really well up front with me. Now, I used to take bigger items, like when I was working on shawls and wraps and that sort of thing, and I would take them with me until one time we hit a bump in the road and I lost my entire project. And when we got to where we were going, I asked 2 different yarn shops, did they have anybody that might be able to help me get back on track? And they said, you have dropped this so far back, there is just no way. The best thing you can do is just rip it back and hope you can figure out where you are in your pattern. I ended up ripping out the entire project and I never picked it up again. I just ditched the yarn. I just didn't care. So I was like this close to being finished. So, you know, I learned my lesson. Do not take a big project, because if you hit a bump, that's it. It's gone. So what do I take with me? Well, my youngest granddaughter, my only granddaughter, has been begging for a pair of socks from me for quite some time. And so I went ahead and finished her little sock. I had one finished. I needed to make the other one. There's this much yarn left. I had made her mother a pair of socks out of this yarn. This came from Hobby Lobby. And so I thought, well, I'll just make Isla a pair out of what's left over. So this is what's left over now. But before I decide, oh, I can add this to my blanket, my mitered square blanket, I am going to have her try these socks on, and if I need to add some length to it, I have enough here to do that. So I might end up with no yarn to go in my blanket, and that's okay. I had this in my Lantern Moon sheet bag. See my little sheet? Isn't that cute? The only thing I don't like about this bag is my double point needles want to poke through the fabric. This is a linen. And so I've come up with a way to remedy that. And what I do, since I like to use the thin metal needles, is I stick the needles down in the middle of the ball. Whoops, lost one. they're standing up like this, and so this sits flat in the bag, and then I can cinch the little ties around this, and it keeps that stable. So that's what I do when I travel. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, you got that sock done, then what did you do coming home? Glad you asked. I started me another pair of socks. I mean, what else am I going to do? So I took this ball, this is that bamboo sock yarn that I love, and I started me a pair of socks. Now, I haven't started the second one yet because I had to find my starting point. I kind of want all my stripes to match. So looking at this really helps me see that the repeat is here, which means I started somewhere right in here with this. So right here is going to be my starting point, and I've got to find that in this ball because I ended with purple and pink at the toe right after white. So that's this section right here. Here's the white, here's the purple and pink right here. So from this point down to here, I needed to get rid of that much yarn out of this ball and then start. And hopefully I get really lucky and hit close. So that is that little project in this little bag. So I'll get that started because we have to make a quick trip to Nashville to see my granddaughter dance this weekend, and I will take that sock and work on that on the road. Now, Bernadine asked me the first night that we were there, she said, what are some things you would like to do? And I said, well, if we have time and we can and it's close, I would like to go to one yarn shop and one fabric store, but don't have to do this if you don't want to. And she said, oh, no, I know exactly where we'll go for that yarn shop because there's one I've been wanting to go to, and so we'll go to it. And it's called Criactivity Crafts, and it was a little bit of a drive. It took us about 30 minutes to get there from St. Petersburg, and they had a little bit of a sale going on. Lucky me. So, of course, here's my blanket. I took that with me. I work on this at night in the camper or at the picnic table. So I'm about a third of the way finished. Got some yarns to remember the trip by to go in my blanket. That tends to be my souvenirs, not a t-shirt, although I was tempted by this one. Just keep in mind the temptation was going to cost me $32, the t-shirt. You're going to find out where I spent that money. So I picked up, of course, some colors that remind me of the ocean. And I got some more fall-looking colors like, you know, this. You see some purple, you see some golds, you see some greens. I picked up another gold because I did need that. And this one is not like anything I have, so that was interesting, and I decided to pick that one up. So all those were on sale, on clearance, so it didn't cost me very much for those. And then I went to this table and they had tools on it. Well, you know, I've got all those bags I made for tools. When my project bag is going to be much bigger, and my tool bag, of course, is smaller, needs to fit down inside it. And I need scissors, and I need tape measures. If it's knitting related, probably cable needles, and I need usually I have some of these straight needles like this, just I throw in there because I don't knit with these anymore, but these make great cable needles. So I usually put just some of those in there. And of course, certain things like this, these are those little plastic pins that sometimes I use those. And I also have some metal stitch markers that I love by Coco Knits that I always love to have in my bag. So anyway, she had this little snail for $2.50, and of course I had to buy it. It's a tape measure, and when you hit this little button, it goes right back in. I don't expect this one to last very long because it did last. It's $2.50, but that's fine. It's fun while it lasts. The other one was by Coco Knits, right? Yeah, Coco Knits, and it came in this little bag, and it's a metal tape measure. So when I release this, it just goes right back in. I am going to keep this in this bag because I want it to stay nice. And again, it was 50% off, and they didn't have very many of these. I think I got the only blue one they had. I'm not sure. but this was $7.50, so we marked down from $15. So I also picked up this solid color of, guess what, my favorite sock yarn for the summer, the bamboo pop sock yarn. Picked that up, and then Bernadine was talking to me later about wanting to make this scrappy summer tank. It's made out of sock yarn. It does say that here on the pattern. All your sock scraps plus one skein of your choice, but you need so much yardage. This has about just under 500 yards. It's 492. So you need at least 2 of these for my size. So I need to get another one of these if I wanted to like put this color and this together and even throw in some of this one. See? So this would be the main color, the yolk color, or yeah, I think that's what they call it. This would be here, so I need one more of those. Even the present skein of yarn I'm working on could be used. So this is socks I've already made. That's the scraps left over. This one I haven't started on yet. So that's one idea. This one does well with that one and this one, and also the one I'm presently working on. So I could go that route. And if I still have scraps left over, I'm seriously thinking about buying a blue, because you have all these blues. See, this is one I haven't used yet. And you know, this is so subtle, I almost could use that for the top. But you know, that and plus the one I'm using has blue in it, so that's another option. So I have lots of options for this tank to use up this yarn, and it won't be soft. The other fun one she gave me a copy of it was the Emotional Support Chicken. She knows that my grandson raises chickens, and she said, make him an emotional support chicken. So that probably will be underneath the Christmas tree. And a few days later, we managed to get away to go to a fabric store. And the one we went to was Fabric Smart. Now, this lady, I just love the fact that she recognized her really quick. You're a garment sewer. And the reason she knew that is because she knew I had made the top that I had on. She recognized the petite fabrics that it was made out of. And so her name's Donnelly. And she took a couple pictures of my top, and she of course asked permission first. And I was drawn to the coat she had on display. She used this pattern, Sophia Swing Coat. And I'm going to hold up a picture. This is a picture of the coat. Now, she had it made out of some Marcy Durst fabric, and it was beautiful. Very fall looking, and a print that I'd always loved. It came out, I think, the same year she brought out her postcards. Part of Wyndham Fabrics, I think, is the one she works for or designs for. But certainly it looks great in a stripe and a solid. I think I could use anything. It doesn't have to necessarily be a cotton, but this is put out by Indigo Junction Patterns, which I've been looking at their patterns and trying to decide what others I might like to purchase. It takes around 3 1/4 yards. I might be able to squeeze it out of 3 1/8. But anyway, got that pattern, and she was working on a robe for herself, and she said she'd put that on display in the store. It's just so people can see that you can take some of her fabrics and you can make garments out of some of the fabrics and be very pleased with that garment. So I was happy that someone in the quilting world was recognizing that some of us don't want to necessarily quilt, but we would like to make a shirt or a dress or something. You know, what have you got in your store that's going to lend itself to that direction of sewing? And she is welcoming that part of the community into her store. Remember that $32 shirt I didn't buy? Because, you know, I might find something in the fabric store, the yarn store that I wanted. Well, I had to buy this batik. This is a round batik that she had in her store. She had quite a few. This is the one I kept going back to, and I decided to get 2.5 yards of this. So that purchase was $36. And I just happen to have buttons that's going to pick up on that green, so that's perfect. And I think what I want to cut out is this dress here. Now this is a Vogue pattern 7724. I think this was released in the early 2000s, so I doubt that you can really get this anymore. But it's a top, a dress, and a skirt. And I'm actually going to shorten this dress. I'm not going to make it that long. I'm going to keep it around the knee and keep it sleeveless, something cool and comfortable to wear in the summer. So I think that's everything for me from right now. Thank you for joining me, and let me know, what do you like to work on when you're on the road? What kind of hobby do you enjoy to take along with you so that you can still stay creative and feed that part of yourself while you're gone? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you hopefully next week. Bye.